turning into rain. Eyes closed tight.
Life growing up for me, I was always trying to find out who I was. I wanted to find who my mum and dad were. I was raised by my grandparents, but I wasn't told that they weren't my parents, but I knew inside that they were my grandparents, and I kind of always had a longing to find and search and find and search, and it just became very tiring. At bedtime is when my nana would pull out children's stories, children's Bible stories, and she'd just sit with me and read me stories, and I'd always wanted to do that at nighttime, otherwise I really couldn't fall asleep. Even though, you know, my grandmother she was giving me so much love, inside, even as a young boy, I even felt that I wasn't worthy of her love. I know as a child, like, there was the rejection of the womb type thing stuck on me. Even though I didn't know it yet, the story, it was just there. This is my nan's house where I spent a good portion of my life, and this is my beautiful grandmother, Pat.
Hello.
Hi, Dad.
What?
I've had him actually with me since he was 3 weeks old. So we've been through all sorts of troubled times. So in my case, it was making sure he had lots of love and always being there to listen and always being there for him.
When I was 10 years old, I remember it was my grandparents' anniversary. This lady walked through the door, and I just remember feeling really drawn to her. She came up to me and she got on her knee and she said, "I got to tell you something." And she said to me, "I'm your mother." And I kind of just felt really overwhelmed and confused, but happy in the fact that this beautiful lady was acknowledging that she was my mother. So I felt a lot of good things are going to happen. Good things are going to happen. Anyway, later that night, I went to go sleep in my grandparents' bed, and my mother came in and said she's going to be there in the morning, and she's never going to go away again, and that we're going to do lots of things together. And I woke up the next morning almost like I forgot about it, and then got really excited. Oh, wow, that lady's here, my mum's here. And well, she wasn't there. So that really hurt. I went straight back to that dark place, like severe depression at 10 years old. So I just kind of shrugged it off and went into a corner like I always did, and just closed up. But yeah, she wasn't there, so. I fell into addiction quite early. I'd say I remember as a child being given a pill about 8 years old for anxiety and to stop night terrors, and that was the first taste I had of drugs, was medication prescribed from a doctor, and it just continued from there. When I was 20 years old, this young lady took me over to her house on a lunch break, and she pulled out a bag and it had some white powder in it, and I knew of it. I hadn't seen it before. I knew it was meth, P. Straight away inside I felt it, you know, a bit of a pull away, like you shouldn't be doing this, but I tried it, and that decision to try meth that day took me on a downward spiral into a dark pit of addiction. So I had to keep smoking meth to just be level. It got to a point where, when I first tried it, $50 was enough to keep me going for a few days, but I was smoking thousands of dollars worth. So eventually, nobody wanted me around. I had no money, no work. I could no longer support myself or really look after myself that well. So I moved back with my grandmother, spent a lot of years in her little flat, hidden away. I'd been up for days, and my brother came over, and this is the day salvation came to me. I was, you know, high out of my mind. I was no food in my system, I hadn't slept for days. But I knew that day something had to change, and I knew my spirit was calling out to the Lord. I just felt in my heart that day, without anybody telling me, nobody told me anything, I just felt a pull to call out to him, to God. And I started doing that. He answered me that day. And as I lay down in my bed that night, I felt instantly sober. And I just went to sleep, and I woke up the next morning and I knew I was different. I knew God had done something to me, and he led me to Life Church, and he showed me, son, this is your family. And don't run, don't try and question it. It just is. It is. It's crazy sitting here now, looking at my life, looking at where God's placed me, what I do for a job now. I work for an organization who helps young people 16 to 19, youth at risk, to bring hope and help to the young generation so that they can help others and break those chains. This story, my testimony, I know what I've been through shapes me today. I've been made strong. I've come alive. Dry bones have come alive in Jesus Christ. And to be shaken to me is a blessing. And I'm here today to share my story to help others to bring hope.